Also, I would spit in someone's mouth. You're not spitting in my mouth. I don't care about spitting in your mouth.
It's different.
That's fine. I
Also,
don't want
men are gonna like
a
hock a
loogie.
loogie in your
I
mouth.
was like, I don't want a fucking loogie.
No.
Oh, where is the thing here? All right, so we are live to YouTube. I'm going to connect the stream for Facebook. Oh, I'm going to MCN6, by the way. I don't know if I told that before.
You did not.
I don't know what he just said.
It's a big old channel.
Awesome. What else is on the channel?
Nothing that... Well, we're not live yet, so yeah. A lot of polka. No, I'm joking. It's all kinds of stuff. A lot of community, like concerts, bands. There's cool stuff on there. So,
Okay.
Is there a theme for today's show that we can say? Ooh, yeah, like I should change this one.
Weird white boys.
Invasive mothers.
Yeah.
What? What's that? Invasive mothers?
Yeah.
Oh, just for Reddit. Oops.
I don't know. You can change it afterwards too.
You can go over after this.
All right.
You sound like Point Dexter.
Why am I breathing funny?
No, the typing.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
You think someone who can type fast is a nerd?
I can type fast. I did Rosetta. What's it called?
That's not Rosetta Stone. That's for languages.
No, what is the thing? The typing thing.
Mrs.
Yes, Mavis Beacon.
Mavis Beacon. Thank you. Wow, I didn't think you were that old.
You know that there's there's a documentary out about her. And about how she branded herself on this like typing package and then like disappeared into obscurity, but she's a real person. And then it goes into this whole thing about how she's like how like capitalism benefits. It's just like it was a very weird turn of events in this documentary.
I thought that Helen Keller did a good job marketing herself.
And did.
And did.
How does she know she had the face for it?
Oh.
That was a good one. Wait, that was a great joke. You need to license that joke.
Oh, God. How unfunny am I?
That was good.
Oh, that was a good one.
I was going to say that was a good one.
But I still wanna
All right. And Rachel, is your mic on?
Yeah, I still wanna turn up. All I want is
Am I
to
not loud
go
enough?
again. But
Never.
you ain't
I know.
picking your phone
No, you're okay,
up.
actually.
Why you messing my head up? Any night, any day. Let me
All right,
take you
take it away whenever
All
you
I
are
need
ready.
is just saying yeah.
Cheers.
Better nights, better days when you're here with me, babe. 'Cause you're all that I crave. So I wonder, where are you? Don't hide away
Hello,
from me.
Hello.
Welcome to Therapy Rebranded, where we're consistently inconsistent.
Ding.
Ding, ding, dong.
Okay.
You beat me to it that time.
Okay, thank you. I was glad you could tell.
Yeah.
So, how are you? This wasn't a real check-in. This was just a quick question.
Fine.
Minnesota, how are you?
Content. Good. Fine.
Great.
Great.
Golden.
Everything's great. How are you?
I could be better, but I'm not the worst I've ever been.
That was also Minnesota. Too. I could be better.
I could be better. Standing.
Actually, they would say things could be worse.
Yeah.
I think that's more Minnesotan.
Not 6 feet under.
There you go.
Woke up on the right side of the ground today.
I know, could be dead.
Oh, God, I hate black.
I had to put a little bass in my voice for that one. Okay, should we jump in with the Reddits?
Yes, let's talk about mommies.
Let's talk about moms. Yay.
My chest started hurting when we said that. I have a sharp pain right here. It's called grief. Okay, continue.
Always. My mom is secretly seeing the same therapist as me.
Abort.
Therapy abuse. Suspected my abusive mother was communicating with my therapist without my permission, got made to feel I was paranoid and insane, discovered she was my mother's therapist first, and had been sharing fucking recaps of our sessions with my mother for God knows how long. Yeah, that's bad.
Hold on, pause. For those of you guys who don't watch frequently, I would say we've done maybe 30 Reddits from therapy abuse. Maybe that's a little generous, 20.
That's fine.
I have never seen one so indefensible.
Yeah.
This is indefensible.
Straight off the bat, I was like, oh, yeah, no.
This is indefensible that you would be seeing a mom and a daughter and not disclose it to the daughter when you started working with her. And then not only that, she can't even play dumb because she was talking to her mom about it. So she can't even be like, oh, I didn't know the connection. You absolutely did.
Horrible.
Anyways, 2025 has not been my year.
Freshly out the mental hospital. I like how never mind.
Freshly out the mental hospital
because this genuinely sent me into a suicidal spiral. I fucking bet. I, 28-year-old female, have strong reason to believe that my mom, 57-year-old female, assumedly, is a narcissist, and currently I'm physically, socially, and financially trapped by her. We're in a state we've never been to before, on vacation, quote unquote, for 2 months so far, while my mom searches for a job on my laptop, and I beg my family to buy me a plane ticket so I can go stay with them. Wow. My mother understands that I'm suicidal and depressed, but she cannot wrap her head around the fact that it's because of her, so she doesn't. She offers me help in the way of resources and finances, just enough to keep me reliant on her, and she literally will not allow me to do things that will bring me financial independence. She won't allow me to get my own job or apartment, finish college, or learn to drive. She refused to pay for my SSRIs when she knew I was in the middle of an episode, and SSRIs are medication for mental health. The only
Can you whisper that more quietly?
Sorry, I feel like I said.
Can you say what an SSRI is again?
It's medication for mental health. What is an SSRI?
It's medication for mental health.
I know, my NPR voice, which they're about to take away, by the way. The only respite I had was...
We didn't answer it.
Oh,
So
sorry.
SSRIs are a type of medication that usually treats depression and anxiety. And it takes about 4 weeks to work. So, like, if you stop taking your medications for 2 weeks, you're kind of at ground zero and going to be kind of unmedicated, even if you restart for a month. So it's like not a light dose thing to miss. I mean, you could miss 1 or 2 and that won't happen. But like if you go off your meds for a couple weeks, you do basically have to start at ground zero. So if you're in a depressive episode and someone cuts off your medication for more than a couple of days, it is a big deal. And people who go off of SSRIs or on SSRIs are at a higher risk for having suicidal thoughts. So it also puts you in a more vulnerable state. Also, I'm sorry, I have criticism for the daughter already, which is why are you this dependent on anybody in your family at 28? I'm very curious. Like,
and her mom they're interdependent on each other.
This is different than the thing with a therapist, right? So like the therapist stuff is completely wrong, but also like if you are aware that your mom is abusive, why are you still there? And not in a blamey way, but like your number one priority has to be, how do I get out of this? Not how I get saved from this, not how I get my mom to change, not how I get a family member to buy me a ticket. How do I get out of this with what I need? Because like, for instance, if you're living in majority of the states in this country and you're unemployed and you're over 28, you're not allowed to be on your parents' health insurance anyway. So I'm not quite sure how she can cut off your medication, right? So that means she's probably paying for it out of pocket. And like, if you're an unemployed 28-year-old, you can get on state insurance and have medication. Yeah. So like, also step out of this, like, my life's going to be over because my mom is crazy, and take control of your life just a little bit.
Like, step into it.
So anyways, back to the story where we feel sad for her. Go ahead.
The only respite I had, no, you're facts. The only respite I had was speaking to my therapist. I'd been seeing her for 2 years since I first moved out on my own, and she was, I guess you could say, a parting gift from my mom. Wow. Quote unquote, a friend was this therapist client, and she highly recommended her. I've never been good at keeping friends. Weirdly, I'm good enough at making them. And my family is different varieties of fucked up, so I'm not particularly close with any of them, except for the young ones who are still learning their colors. I know. I lost touch with my only friend.
Spoke too soon.
Yeah. I lost touch with my only friend, so now my therapist was all I had. And I know that's bad pressure to put on a therapist, but unfortunately it was true. Yeah, this is not sliding in your way anymore, hun. My therapist knew everything about me, obviously. When I was suicidal, when I was homicidal, when I felt on top of the world, and when I'd failed an exam. I knew that my therapist and my mom had contact. After all, my mom paid the bill. Still doesn't, that's not how it should be. But both assured me that they barely spoke to each other. They had different versions of the story, though. My mother told me she and my therapist talked 3 or 4 times throughout the 2 years I'd been seeing her. My therapist said anytime my mother and I had an argument, my mother would vent about it, to which she made sure to mention was uncomfortable to deal with. Already this was full of red flags, but I didn't want to believe, I guess. I knew they were
Did
talking.
we skip a paragraph or something? How did she find out that her mom was talking to the therapist?
I think it's just.
She's just rambling?
Yeah, she's.
Okay.
It's because I can't. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just
No.
confused at how this went left so fast.
No,
I'm
I went-
sorry. I'm irritated. Go ahead.
No, I'm like, I also don't understand. Spent 5 days in a mental hospital, which my mom tried to keep me from going to. When I got out, I actually felt good.
No, we missed one. Already this was full of red flags, but I didn't want to believe, I guess. I knew they were talking regularly when I saw a text from my therapist pop up on my mom's phone, and I checked it.
You're right. Thinking at worst I'd see what kind of things my mom said about me when venting. Instead, when I found out was backlogs of conversations between them, long text exchanges, voice calls, and tons of other evidence that they were both lying. Jeez. At this point, I still didn't grasp what was going on. So I put the phone down, had a panic attack, and promptly freaked out on my therapist. Girl, you can see what's going on. She called me at 3 a.m, explaining that she doesn't talk to my mother. What? And I misunderstood, and she can't help me when I'm going through an episode and unwilling to trust her. And do I think she's the kind of person who would do such a thing? Her? This is a weird relationship.
This is fucking.
this is fucked.
I feel like this chick is crazy.
Everybody should slowly back away from each other in this situation.
Who's crazy? The kid, the person
The
writing?
kid, in a way, or
I mean,
something.
she's 28. I had to correct myself, but yeah, the adult,
The adult.
the child.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
writing it like a child. Spent 5 days in a mental hospital, which my mom tried to keep me from going to. When I got out, I actually
Well, yeah,
felt
because she didn't want
good.
to pay the bill. It's going to be like
Right.
$5,000.
If not more. I had made some friends who I'm positive I'll never talk to again. So not friends. I learned.
Well, you're not supposed to exchange information while you're in inpatient psych. I mean, you can, but
Oh,
you're not
really?
supposed to.
Okay.
No, because what happens is everyone comes to inpatient psych and they date each other. It's literally like a dating service. And sometimes the parents are like, "Oh, I think it's cute." And that's only when they have like the kid who has no social skills and they're just glad they met somebody. I'm like, that's weird. Or then like they become friends with them. And what they don't realize is that like the reason why this kid felt like safe is because there were all these boundaries in place that were like keeping you guys like
safe.
in place so
Yeah.
that things didn't turn wild. And so like very quickly, like let's say your kid goes to the mental hospital and they're suicidal and they meet another kid who's suicidal and then they both discharge and they stay friends over text and your kid's trying to get better and this other kid is calling them at 3 a.m. saying I killed myself or I'm going to kill myself if you don't come here and save me or help me or whatever. And then now they're both back in the mental hospital together because what like 14-year-old can handle that.
Right.
So
None.
you know, they don't think the kid's going to be like that, though,
Right.
because they don't act like that. But that's because there's constantly adults around supervising. They don't get any alone time with other kids because,
Right.
God forbid, like they had sex or something,
Which they would do.
which they would do. So, like, they don't get any alone, unsupervised time with other kids unless they're like sharing a room, like they're roommates. And then that has to be like same gender.
Yeah. And probably, yeah. I learned coping skills and techniques that I'm using right now, actually. Reddit counts as journaling, right?
Girl.
And the best news of all, oh my God, I just had a thought. And the best news of all,
BPD?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the best news, and I had a person pop in my head.
That's sad.
And the best news of all, a project housing list I put myself on literally 5 years ago called me and told me I'm at the top of the list. Fill out an app, do well on an interview, and the place is mine. Rent waived until I start making income.
So, what's the problem?
So naturally, my mom said she wouldn't help me get
You're
over there.
28!
Yeah, I don't.
Take the city bus.
This person
walk,
is,
bike,
yeah.
run, Uber.
I'm out of the hospital for 6 hours and we're arguing with each other again. I'm trying to gray rock her, but I suck at it because needing to have the last word is in my blood. Oh my God. No, this person. This went left.
Their
Now
mask is slipping a little bit.
Now we
It fell off in the
It
second
fell off,
paragraph.
yeah. Now we get to tonight. Oh, guys, now we get to tonight. My family is willing to pitch in to get me over to them. I just don't know when yet, and I'm not sure how much I can take. Curiosity killed the fucking cat because I had to go back to my mother's phone to make sure I wasn't crazy. And I saw a lot of things, like recaps of my sessions told to my mother, screenshots from my texts with my therapist, and worst of all, the exchange that I'll paraphrase. Quote unquote, shaved ice in the summer, and I have decided, I think that must be their name.
It's their name on the Reddit, yeah.
Yeah. And I have decided to stop seeing each other. But you'll keep seeing me, right? Of course. And a fucking hugging emoji. The one my therapist used for us.
Oh, this girl's unwell. So, okay, so there is one sorry.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me just do the last one. This entire story has taken course over this past week, with me writing this happening almost immediately after my final discovery. I have chills, and I'm not even crying. Okay.
Wow.
Nobody believes you. I'm actually quite calmly typing up this post. Maybe
Oh,
you
it
do.
feels like it.
Yeah.
It
Reeling
does.
and shattered do not begin to describe the feeling.
Okay. So my thoughts are
Sorry.
that my trust in her ability to read the situation accurately dwindled to about 0.
Yeah.
So like if anybody was wondering like what the reaction was, that's the reaction.
What do we call that? An unreliable narrator or something?
Yeah. And not even because she's being disingenuous, because she's bordering on not seeing things in reality or perspective, and there's no personal accountability in this story. The personal accountability is not about the therapist, it's about you being 28 and in this position where you're dependent on your parent. So that's one. Next, if you as a therapist
At your big age.
are having somebody say homicidal statements to you and you believe that they could act on those statements, you have a duty to warn, which
It's a law.
means that you must, before you call the police, before you talk to anybody else about it, you must try to find the person that they said this about and notify them
Oh, wow. Before the police.
for the police.
That's why it's called duty to warn. 'Cause
Yes, because the notion is like you handing off to the police is not fast enough confirmation that like that person got the information they needed.
it's like
to
this
be
person
warned.
saying, I'm so fucking mad, I'm going to do this person's house and blah, blah, blah. Like you would call that person.
So like you waiting for it to go 24, 48 hours through the proper channels.
Whoa.
No. And there was a bill passed because, or not a bill, that's from, I was thinking of Trump derangement symptoms. There was a law.
Executive order.
Yeah. There's but basically there was a law of some sort passed around a bunch of people, not just therapists, having duty to warn because somebody didn't warn someone and they got murdered. I forgot. It's named after a person. I'm sorry to that woman that I don't remember her name. But
Sorry to that lady.
sorry to that lady. But so in theory, like if she is being like open about, hey, like I want to kill my fucking mom, and they think there's any chance of that, she does have to tell the mom.
Fair.
So that's interesting. Also, I think that the text that that woman sent was inappropriate, but the only one that she had to quote was like inappropriate, kind of.
This sounds
The
like
quote text, to the fact that what she had to quote was her so and I have decided to stop seeing each other, but you'll keep seeing me, right? Of course. And with the hug emoji, the fact that that was the text exchange, if she was the one paying for those sessions, there was kind of nothing inappropriate about that.
I
I
was
was going
like,
to say it's pretty benign.
And
yeah.
how dramatic this person is writing, I feel like they would be quoting other things.
and the thing that she's mad
Do you know
over
what I'm
is
saying?
Yes, and the thing that she's mad over is the
She's
hugging
the same
emoji.
emoji. But you know what it means? It means that the way that she wrote that text to the mom and the daughter is how she writes all of her clients.
Is being sympathetic, is being
Empathetic,
yes,
whatever.
Yes.
However, if you truly did not know that this therapist was seeing your mom, completely unethical.
She sounds like a vulnerable adult.
This fact that but she's not.
But she's not.
But she's not. So all of this is very messy, and I don't doubt that the mom is controlling, but I wonder how much of the mom's control is because she has no faith in the daughter's ability to function without her, which is very unhealthy,
Yeah.
but a weird pattern,
Yeah.
and not what I would call abusive. I would call it unhealthy, not abusive.
Definitely imbalanced.
Is there anything to so? Let's just say I've seen similar dynamics before in my life growing up,
No way.
particularly amongst white people, but like white moms and daughters like this, they get very intertwined, and I can see. Is there anything where you can tell your therapist at one point, like it's okay to discuss my stuff with my parents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sign and release.
You can
or
sign
just-
and release.
Yeah.
Which she
Okay.
probably, if this woman is connecting with mom, she probably did sign a release
Yeah.
because also, if you're a fucking adult, what you do is you have the health insurance in your name or you do the bill in your name. And even if your mom's paying for it, she sends you the money or she pays the bill.
Right.
Like she shouldn't be sending, if she's sending the bill directly to her, there was a release of information signed that allowed this.
Otherwise,
That's
it's like
what
breaking
was
the
yeah,
law.
because those people get so intertwined like that anyway. You don't even know who's sicker.
Yeah.
between the mom and the kid a lot
So
of times.
what we would call that is enmeshed. So if a relationship between two family members is enmeshed, it means that they're so connected and intertwined that they can't tell the difference between each other's life and each other's feelings. So if something goes wrong in one of those people's lives, they collapse like it's happening to them, and vice versa.
You're on the ride.
If your mom has a feeling of anger and shame, you feel angry and shameful, and you can't tell the difference between whose feelings are whose. That's what we would call like an enmeshed parent relationship.
Wow.
So that's definitely happening, right? But I wouldn't call that on its face, just that, I wouldn't call that abusive.
I agree, especially because of her age.
Yes. I just in
Age
general
difference.
wouldn't call enmeshment abusive. I think a lot of
yeah,
people
no.
are enmeshed with their parents,
Yes.
and it's unhealthy. And I think like there's this other thing, and this is what I have to tell. So there's so many family therapy sessions that I have with kids who are recently 18 or just turning 18. Because if you are 18 but you're still in high school and you get brought to the ER and admitted for your mental health, you go to a kid unit. And so I'll get like a lot of these 18-year-olds who are supposed to be seniors or are seniors, and they have like this big pitch of how they're going to sit their parents down and they're going to tell them how they're going to separate their lives. And now I'm 18, so I get to call the shots and I get to do this. And like the bubble I have to break to you is like, until you are self-sufficient, you're not a real adult.
Yeah.
You're not, right?
have to go-
And so
yeah.
like there's one part of this message that's really invasive. Like the mom should never be talking about anything intimate in your therapy sessions. Although now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been something as simple as the therapist being like, hey, she gave me permission to share this with you. She's suicidal.
Right now we don't know.
Now we don't know like what was
Were they
exchanged
safety
or not.
planning? Like, was it part of like a plan? Like, we don't know. like,
Yeah,
what
we
she's
don't
doing
really
now.
know. But
Yeah. That's yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in terms of just like this woman, like your mom gets to dictate what at 28, she's not being controlling because she won't drive you somewhere. She's setting a boundary. You're at an age where you should be able to drive, or you should be able to get yourself around if you can't drive.
Ordering
You
an
should have
Uber
found
or
out
something.
like the thing that you do. Like your mom not bringing you to your appointments is not abuse. And that's where it's like you're losing everyone because you're not
Helping
taking
yourself.
accountability for the ways that you're lacking. It's a
Yep.
totally different conversation from like,
You don't.
my
work.
mom said she's going to kick me out of the house if I do X, Y, and Z, and I can't work or I can't fund this. None of that's happening. And what it sounds like is you are wanting things to go forward in your life, and you want your mom to hold your hand along the way, and she's saying no. And whether that's for healthy or unhealthy reasons, can't speak to that, but you're too old to be in that position.
And it's also that this person mentioned that that they like go to Reddit regularly as their diary, which I know lots of people do. But,
Unhealthy.
but it's like yeah. Therapy abuse. They couldn't wait to tag
The
that.
whole thing about journaling is to like get something off your chest privately. Like it's no longer journaling if you're doing it for attention.
Say it again for the people.
And
in
it's
the
also
back.
like not safe to put your journal on Reddit. Like, why would you want your innermost thoughts and vulnerabilities to be torn apart? It's almost like you just want validation and attention.
And you just want to look for. You're just actually starving for a connection.
Call back to the suicidal artist guy.
Oh yeah. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of his stuff this week. Still, it's like,
He's been posting a lot.
yeah, he's been posting a lot this week, and it's, you know what? By the way, if you guys haven't watched last week's episode, there's somebody who is living with bipolar that applied for assisted suicide in the Netherlands.
It's a really good episode.
And it's really, well, I don't know. If you look at the comments, we have Trump derangement syndrome. So we really should,
we should never talk
no
about
reason
it.
to watch us as we're mentally ill.
For the thing we're not mentally ill.
Says a pedophile.
But maybe I was thinking more about this, but it's like, I think I might find him authentic in a way that maybe other people don't, because the behaviors line up so much with mental illness.
They all align.
They align so much with mental illness that
It's
I'm like,
true.
oh, this is his mental illness. And we're like watching him put it into art form.
And he is saying, I'm currently going through a depressive episode. I'm currently going through
But
a manic
also-
episode.
You guys both landed with me that I don't think he thinks he's going to get it.
I don't think he thinks he's going to
I think his art is attention seeking.
But that's part of
that
the
is
mental
art,
illness.
right.
That's what I'm saying. It lines up.
Yeah.
Like the
Okay.
need for like
Yeah.
validation, intention, and attention / normalizing not normal behavior is so mentally
Yes.
ill.
Can I ask that there's
It's like a round, it's like a circle.
Yeah.
there's something that this Reddit brought up that is something I keep seeing in life, and I don't know how to even express this, but I'm just curious if this resonates with anyone. But I've noticed with people who I personally deem to be a little bit unbalanced a lot of times, I've noticed this trait of being what I would consider like pathologically honest, like honest about things that normally people might just, kind of sand the corners off a little bit. Like in this lady's, like, you wouldn't put maybe
inappropriately
project
honest?
housing, I'm even saying just like social things. Like they'll be super straight out right away with like, I got fired because I was stealing stuff at my job or
Loki, that sounds like how black people
No.
talk. You don't
no.
think so?
Fuck no, I don't.
no, I don't think
No.
so. Yeah.
I said inappropriately honest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not it.
Is that what I'm hearing you say? Kind of
I
like
mean,
this notion of like, because that's
no.
inappropriate to tell somebody why you got fired and first meeting them.
I
It's
guess because
inappropriate.
it's not
Yes, yes,
inappropriate.
yes,
It's
yes.
just
It
odd.
is.
You're not used to it, right?
It is
Socially
inappropriate.
inappropriate. That's
It
what I
is.
Socially
thought.
inappropriate. Okay.
Yeah, like
sure.
it's social. Like it's not like it's not inappropriate in the way of like it's morally wrong. It's like inappropriate in the way of you're demonstrating to me you don't know social cues.
Yes, that's what I want. Exactly.
Yeah, like
Precisely.
you're demonstrating to me that you don't have social cues because like you should know that that's a part of your like if you have a card of like a hand of cards, that's part of your hand you shouldn't share.
When you're telling this,
I don't know you.
like the hero story of your life, I shouldn't wince 3 times because of something you're admitting. Like,
And you
where
shouldn't
it's
tell
like,
me the hero story of your life, period.
And I definitely shouldn't know the traumatic shit in the first 5 minutes.
No.
Oh, sure.
You know what I
No.
mean? Like,
That
And
too. That's also very common.
And it's also, I think there's a difference between when somebody drops their, like a hint that they have big trauma with some humor versus like telling you the whole story.
yes.
Like if someone makes a joke about them, for instance, being molested and you can't tell if they really were or not or something like that, even that is like, okay, you're pushing boundaries, but like you're trying to be funny rather than like somebody sitting down for 7 minutes and telling you what their uncle did. Like there's just like lines of like, how do you
Right.
not know what's socially normal or not? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, is that a cue for you guys as
Yes.
you're
Yes.
doing therapy? Okay.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I mean, I would think
even
so. I
somebody
just,
who's
yes.
like even somebody who's trying to throw like somebody who is trying to even like unintentionally like throw the vibe. You're like having a conversation, they just like say something like outward.
Yeah.
That you're just like, why like
I also find it
Really
weird when
inappropriate.
I do an intake, so I like meet someone for the first time. And this is not, I don't feel like this in the hospital. It's not weird when somebody who's an inpatient tells you everything up front because they know you see it in the charting, like in all the paperwork, and like we all talk. So it's like they're telling you, but they know they're not telling you for the first time. When I was doing my internship and I was working outpatient, when I met somebody who told me everything about themselves unfiltered in the intake conversation, in my head I was like, you have no boundaries.
and just
'Cause, like-
face kind of.
Just straight faced or crying. Crying maybe if it's like they're crying to tell me what impacted them. But like if you can just like run down the list of all your traumas and you're just like telling me unfettered that like your dad touched you and like whatever, it lets me know that like this is a story or a narrative you repeat often.
Yep.
Because
You're soothing yourself.
well, not only that, I'm not even saying that way. It's like you don't have boundaries because I didn't earn that yet. Like it's very different than being like, I have sexual abuse in my history, and it was my father. Than like the rundown story. Like
dad had-
I didn't earn the rundown story.
Yep.
And that's like a cue to me that like you don't know that people have to earn access to you.
Even the therapist.
Even the therapist
Yes.
has to earn a little bit of access. Like the fact that
a
people who
cue.
don't come into therapy with any skepticism lets me know that you don't have boundaries.
Yes.
Because even your therapist should have to earn it a little bit.
Yep, because I still
I
don't
haven't
know you.
opened your mouth. I haven't opened my mouth yet. Like,
I-
how do you know that I am going to be somebody who's not going to just destroy you when you tell me that?
You actually don't know if I'm safe or not.
You don't.
I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, it's going to take some time. And they're kind of, people are surprised when you say that. I'm like, I don't expect you to tell me everything off the bat. That would be weird.
So, yes, it's a social cue.
it is a social cue.
Just like not looking someone in the eyes is. Like, it's a social cue.
I hate looking people in the eye.
Is there any
It's so exhausting.
But you don't have to hold eye contact, but if you won't make it at all, it's weird. Because Minnesotans, they look off. They look a little bit past
Yeah, they
you.
do.
They look next to you. They, like, look at you and then they look away. All of that's fine. But if you make no eye contact, it's a cue to me. Go ahead.
I guess, is there anything to, so I feel like when I go into therapy, I am almost like really honest like that. Like I dump it right away because in my view, it's like that I want to see what they, in a way, it's like I'm secure with what my issues are. So I want to know
But
if
what are
they,
the issues? Like in a not in a intimate
you know my
way,
issues.
But like what are you saying, right? Because like what I'm talking about is sharing
You're talking about
trauma.
oversharing trauma, right? And I'm just saying, like, I would share anything in a therapy environment immediately because in my mind, it's like that's what we're here to do, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't feel like an odd thing to me, I guess. you
But
know?
I feel like you have a unique set of self-confidence that most other people couldn't rattle you.
Okay, well, that's true because
So
I take
I
a lot
think-
of confidence in my ability to.
So
do,
I think that's
yeah.
part of it is like you're going in being like, well, if
This is
she's
what it
if
is.
she botches this, I don't give a shit. Whereas like how
Yes.
you feel about your kid going in therapy is like, oh my god, you know what I mean?
Okay,
And
yes.
a lot-
I think you have a very unique like, and maybe it's a comedian thing. Maybe
Keep
it's just
saying I'm
something
unique.
you
I
built
like this.
over time. Unique.
You're special.
But like I think you're vulnerable. Like you sharing it maybe isn't always as vulnerable as other people sharing certain things because I think that you're not fragile in that
100%.
And
right?
and
So
Yes,
it's
you're
kind of
right.
like yeah,
You're 100%
That's
right.
true. And a lot of folks often are like doing that thing where they're reaching for a therapist to like approve or to be like, see me or like, look how kind of like
Yeah.
they're looking to kind of see if they can rattle you sometimes or like, is this shocking? They're
the
kind
client is trying to rattle the
of, yes,
therapist. Okay.
trying to just like say,
Mhm.
they kind of like, yeah, this happened. And they're trying to show you that it's kind of like a persona thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a put on that is also like
One of the hard
boundless.
things about being an inpatient therapist is like towing the line of what you're going to bring up in session and like when you're going to bring it up. So
I bet.
it's like really hard to be like, okay, at what point in the session am I going to bring up that their stepdad molests them?
Right,
Like, am
because-
I going to do it 10 minutes in? Am I going to do it 20? Like, am I ever going to do it? Like, what does that look like? Like, how am I going to? Because you do have
Less
to prove
chances.
as a therapist with people who are skeptical that you can handle that amount of information and content.
Yeah.
So I have to like introduce it.
Agreed.
But then how do you introduce it without seeming like you're throwing their trauma in their face?
Yeah.
Just like tiptoeing in. I just like slide in. I just like slide under. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bring up something else. I'm gonna bring up small traumas, little traumas. Then I'm gonna bring up something that the parent did wrong and see how they react. And then if they can stomach that, I'm gonna look at the kid and see what. Because I always also like. I game plan with the kids before session. I'm like, here's what I want to talk about. Anything you really don't want to talk about, so they know like if it's coming or not.
That's the
So
nice-
it's just is
yeah.
like, is the parent going to be able to handle what I'm bringing up? Because the kid, the person it happened to, wants me to bring it up. So it's me trying to read the room of like, am I going to bring it up in front of the kid or not? When am I going to bring it up? How am I going to bring it up? What's the angle of why I'm bringing it up? Because when you're bringing up trauma, you have to be very, very, very clear about why you're bringing it up.
Mhm.
Very clear. Like you have to be like, this is the reason I'm bringing up that your husband molests your daughter.
You have to make the connection.
Do you
Immediately.
ever bring
That's
up?
that's the nice part of yeah. That's the thing about like outpatient that's different is that I can like if something happens I can be like ooh like I can go into that now or I can go into that later and I know I can go into that later because I see them next week and the week after and the week after and so there's like a different balance of
Yeah.
but it also is hard because
Yeah.
there's a different cadence.
There
to
is,
it.
because I'm like, maybe, because also what I'm weighing is like, is this kid seeing another adult stand up for them going to decrease their chance of completing suicide when they go home?
it's more dire.
Or is bringing this up and having their parent be defensive going to increase their chance of completing
You always have
suicide
to-
when they go home?
She always has to weigh that point.
Because it could be both.
Yeah,
Could be either.
they're there for that reason.
What are you going to say, Gabe?
Do you ever like bring up, like sometimes people can indicate where it becomes very clear to you that you know what their trauma is, but maybe they haven't said it yet. Do you ever say it without the person acknowledging it first?
No, not for me. I don't need to. They'll tell me
Does
eventually.
that make sense to you? Javed?
Yeah. I'll just get more specific in my question to make it clear I know what they're trying to say.
Okay.
Like, so if someone was like, well, he touches my leg or something, I'd be like, so he's creepy. And then they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, is it more than that? And they'd be like, yeah.
You open the door,
And then like it's their choice to say like what the more than that is.
because you want to give.
Now,
them
usually like
space.
be like, you look uncomfortable right now. Do you want to go further into that or not? Like that's kind of the like direction I go because what I don't want to do, oh my God forbid I misread it. And this kid has like, cause they're vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
And now they're like, yeah, I guess that was sexual abuse.
right.
Oh God.
You're trying.
I don't want
no.
that. I don't ever want that. Right.
Mhm.
So it's like, how do I like navigate it? I've been
Wow.
doing this thing too the last couple weeks, which has been like, I think actually really meaningful to parents is all the like Latino folks that come into the hospital that have like a kid who has like a PTSD or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. And like they need a translator. So like English is not their first language and they don't understand English well enough to not have a translator.
A lot more work.
I mean we do those sessions all the time, but I will like print out like information in Spanish on like the diagnosis. And like that helps a lot because I think there's like a lot of US based therapists who have like an assumed understanding of how other people perceive mental illness and like what's normal and what's not. So no, I'm never like, did this happen to you? Because like there's a very good chance that they could say yes and it wasn't a yes.
But a lot of therapists, I think, like would just ask shit like that.
Have you?
I mean, in the screener, so in the screener, we ask that, right? So, like, when they come to the hospital, we ask if you're safe at home and all of that stuff. But I feel like asking, like, a nurse or a doctor asking you in a screening session feels different than a therapist asking you. It truly does.
100%.
It truly does.
It does.
There are certain forms I'm honest on, certain ones I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, most forms I'm not honest on now because of
I'm not
insurance
honest.
stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not honest.
You can't.
Because then you realize that they're going to take all our, well, it won't matter if we're honest or not because they're going to use AI to scan all our profiles so they'll know all the things we're lying about on our health
Exactly.
insurance.
Those
So
look
it won't
at patterns
matter.
and know anyway.
They'll
But
know
yeah.
anyways. But right now, you can tweak your rates based on being like, do you smoke cigarettes or not? Do
Absolutely
you
not.
drink alcohol or not?
Absolutely
You know?
not. I'm offended you're even asking me,
Yeah.
even on this form.
Yeah, so I think everybody has, I don't know. I also don't think like, I'm not like a, whatever. But if you're like a daily cigarette smoker, you should still be honest because it probably really changes how they treat you.
Hell yeah, this is what they're recommending and shit.
Yeah, what they're recommending.
Yeah, but it feels
They're
so
gonna
good
be
when
like-
you walk out of the appointment and they
You
tell
should
you
get
you're
checked for
healthy.
emphysema versus you should not get checked for emphysema.
Yes.
It's like,
All right, let's do this last one.
okay, I'm going to read the thing and then do you want to do the screenshot with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I in the wrong here? I took a 23andMe and found out my dad isn't my bio dad and told me I was doing quote unquote emotional terrorism for basically saying, again, quote unquote, I'm going to block you right now because I'm very upset, end quote. My mom pulls stuff like this a lot. I feel guilty.
So this is a screenshot from the kid and the mom. Why don't you be the kid?
Okay. I will tell you later. I'm sorry I blocked you.
This is crap. You were just looking for attention. It's goddamn emotional terrorism. I'm furious.
I took a 23andMe and so did my dad.
Nana was about to come over there. Okay? Question mark. And question mark. Do you have some kind of genetic disease?
No, she knows
Not
what it is.
mom committing.
She committed! She even brought up something else. I didn't want to tell you because we are going to take another test. My dad, or Sean, isn't on mine, and I'm not his family tree. I didn't want to tell you yet because it's only 90% accurate.
Only 90%.
And my phone is at like 4%. That's really weird. Not mom being like, I desperately wanted to talk to you, but now my phone's dying.
That's fucking hilarious. Holy shit. I'm losing reception on this text message.
Your turn.
Oh, shit. Oh, I didn't even know there was more. Sorry. It is, and I didn't want to assume anything and snap at you. That's why I blocked you. Okay, it wasn't the right move, and apologize. I know. I'm not mad, just confused at the results.
Well, you didn't need to say anything at all, but yeah, that's really odd.
I'm sorry for saying anything.
This is a person who's being abused.
Yes.
This is a person who's being abused, denying obvious reality because they cannot wrap their head around the truth because they know that the truth means that they will not have a real relationship with their mother.
You didn't need to say anything.
You
at
didn't need to
all.
say anything at all. Why are you telling me that I'm your daddy's not your daddy? Now
I'm
her
saying
being
it's odd.
But yeah, that's really odd.
odd,
So you're just
This is
not.
such a white lady shit. like-
guilting.
I'm sorry for saying anything on all levels. Oh, wow.
That's
You're right, Mom. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry.
90% is not accurate. I'm so sorry.
It's only 90%, so I.
Everybody in the comments, this happened to me. Horrible.
Oh, so many women were pulling a lot before 23andMe.
Ooh, before they ever thought that anybody would ever be able to just do that shit, people were.
Ooh. I feel like it's been a lot. Also,
Aunties are
like
out here.
was a long-standing tradition of like. This sounds terrible, but women. Not now. I'm thinking like 100 years ago, or like even 50 years ago. Like women who couldn't get pregnant by their husbands, like fucking someone else to see if they could get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. I just
because
wanna
it was
make sure-
because it was on them. Like if it, everyone assumed that it was the woman was the reason that they couldn't have the child.
Yep.
So there was a lot of that going on prior to that, and then there was
Yeah.
also a lot of women cheating with the man they really want to be but like couldn't be with.
The fun guy.
And so I just think I think there's a lot. I mean, I think there's a combination of cheating and sperm donor. Like, I think
Yeah.
also a lot of people didn't want to tell their kids they were a sperm donor baby. They were just like, that's your daddy.
It wasn't like in vogue to do before.
Well, and it wasn't also like the same level of betrayal because like dad was in on it. I don't know. It feels like less like my life was a lie, but also my life was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that this kid like found out that this is 90% not her dad and
Yeah,
is apologizing because mom is acting like she's a weirdo. Why do people when they're bullshitting love to make somebody feel like a weirdo? Rather than getting mad, it feels like it's more effective to make someone feel weird that they had that concern or question.
These are the type of people that I believe
it is
don't
the
love their
move.
children.
You said it is the move.
It is the move. I mean, like, honestly, if you're going to do this is
Yeah.
what you do. Like,
But these are the type of people that I feel like just don't love their kids.
That's what you think?
Like, I'm just doing this. I don't know. It's just this. It's
Oh, baby.
not
You're
literally.
naive.
Not literally.
You're
but I'm
naive.
like-
You're naive. People don't treat people differently based on love. That has nothing to do
No,
with it.
I know, but I'm just
no.
but-
You
but-
don't know. Hear me.
But I mean, but I mean it.
It has nothing
to do with love.
do with love.
No, it has nothing to do with feelings. I know that, but I think it doesn't. I can't register it because you're doing that. Like to your own kid.
it has to do with them being right. It has to do with, like, the image
As a
they've created
therapist,
amongst
I
themselves.
understand. As a person, I
Yeah.
can't understand it because I'm like, ugh. That's like,
Love has nothing to do with that.
no, I know that.
What do you guys think about, like, is it weird?
People who
just,
are good people love their kids when their kids ain't shit. Love has
Yeah.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Why do we see all these, like, controlling and whatever things? Why is it always a mother? What, like, just to refresh things once in a while, I'd like to see some fucking controlling dad again, or some emotionally fucking
You don't
abusive
have to look
dad.
that far.
I was
Like,
gonna
I
say,
mean, we
there's
do
tons of
violence really
those.
well.
There's- I think that most dads give up on the controlling when the kid moves out.
Okay,
Honestly,
I think that's true.
because like a lot of like
Yeah.
the controlling things I hear from dads are like not wanting their daughters to be sexually active and things like that. But it's like once they move out, I think they kind of just like wash their hands of it and pretend it's not happening.
I was gonna
And
say.
I think moms don't do that. I think moms try to maintain control and influence after they move out, and then we see this.
forever.
I mean,
You're
the
just-
deep psychological shit, though. It seems like moms get so much more, like, there's just fucking insidious almost. Maybe I'm way too biased in this case, but I'm sure I'm probably fucking.
It is, but dads are. I think also there's some like dads get let off the hook too, though.
No, I think dads.
Hey, we're just there to have some fun.
I think
Exactly.
I
See?
think dads pull out
Yeah.
like when they're disappointed too, and I think moms lean in harder sometimes.
What did you send me like yesterday or today? May did you send that
Dad
to me?
should
It
have
was,
pulled
like
out.
dads like something about like it's part of the dad card. Like you can't remember anything about your kids.
No, that
Important.
wasn't me. It must have been your father.
Maybe.
Oh, I think that's one of the most frightening things in the world is when people ask your kids' birthdays and shit, because I know them, but there's something about being asked that it's like you don't want to be wrong. So it's just.
You don't know
But
them.
I really know them. Like, I really do.
What are your kids'
but
birthdays?
My kids' birthdays?
Don't
My
say them on
daughter's?
Yeah,
Thing.
don't. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Also, they
They're both. I'm like
don't.
those are just passwords.
That one March 20th.
Yeah, I think it's like a different response. I do see like fathers being more invested in how their sons behave after they move out. But even that I feel like is like more like anger and I'm not going to support you financially if you make mistakes.
Yes.
Whereas I think moms are like
There's a clear boundary with men, it seems
it
like, or
doesn't
more
even feel
so.
like I mean, for me personally, I don't know if it's a boundary or like hopelessness. Like in terms of daughters, I think with men it's a boundary because I think they feel like I'm teaching my son how to be a man by setting
Yes.
this boundary. But I think with daughters, like dads feel hopeless and like they don't have a lot of influence a lot of times.
Yes.
And then I think moms are in denial about how bad their kid is doing often, and so they try to be like, I'm going to infiltrate their life and like convince them to be different and like influence them. And sometimes that's because the kid's actually struggling, and sometimes that's because the kid isn't behaving how mom wants them to behave and thinks that's a crisis. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of moms who have visions of how they want their daughters to turn out.
Yeah.
And, like, have a lot of, like, have a hard time letting go of the vision, and then are convinced that the daughter is doing something wrong because she's not living in that vision.
Yeah.
Whether that's like marriage, children, how they behave in relationships, how they behave with other people when they want to move out. I also think it's like cultural, because if you think about a lot of immigrant communities, like dad has the most influence literally until they get married. Like they don't even move out. So I really think it's the move out piece. Dads are able to be like, okay, you're out on your own. Bye. And I
They
think
kinda
moms
wash their
struggle
hands
with
a little
that
bit.
a little bit more.
Agreed.
Do you think how common is it in your mind, like of the families you see? To me, this is a very clear dynamic too. Is there are parents who, when something goes wrong, they blame their kid or assume their kid did something wrong, and then there's the ones who back their kids.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think that ratio would be from what you see?
Honestly, I think it depends on the record. I think if your kid has a bad enough record, then you stop backing them. So I think it depends. I think it's more like how quickly do you switch from it's my fault to my kid's fault. And I think
Okay.
that
What if it starts that way immediately?
that it's their kid's fault.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably a quarter,
Okay.
maybe 50%, but that's not 50% of parents. It's 50% of people whose kids end up in inpatient, which means you're doing a shit job most of the time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I want to be
Yeah,
clear on
yeah,
that. Like if
that's
your
skewed.
kid
That's
ends
a
up in
skewed-
inpatient, you're probably doing a shit job. Unless your kid has schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. But like otherwise you're probably doing a shit job.
Yeah.
That they had to end up in inpatient.
I
Because if
can't
we got to the
tell-
point that they wanted to kill themselves, like there was probably a lot of intervention that wasn't happening before that. Or maybe that kid was hiding it well, but that's a small percentage.
Do parents who blame their kids, are they, I guess, so like the thing that I can't decide is, are they doing it because of it's a social thing where you distance yourself from it socially? Like, I did
both.
my best with this kid, blah, blah, blah. Or then is it a pathology where it's like,
Both.
okay.
It's switching to it's feeling helpless and switching from this is my fault to this is out of my hands and was always going to be bad, because that's how you sleep at night.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you have to go into because I think there's a point when your kids start struggling and they might not make it as an adult or make it to adulthood where you panic and go, what do I need to do to fix this? I think
Yeah,
every
overreacting.
parent does that, right? And
No
then
doubt.
and then I think
At, like,
there's
different
some
levels.
really bad parents who the first time it doesn't work give up. And those are the parents that typically don't have a stable environment for the kid anyways and weren't that invested anyways and weren't paying attention anyways. They got pulled into paying attention because a crisis happened and they tried to fix it for half a second and they went back to being the selfish people that they are. And then I think there's a bunch of people who try again. And then it switches from their kid doing like self-destructive behavior to causing harm to other people. And they get pissed and start feeling like, okay, what am I going to do? There's nothing to do. Screw this. I think at a certain point, it impacts parents so much, like their self-esteem as people. Like I think they feel like failures, that they have to find a reason to justify why none of this was their fault and was going to happen inevitably because their kid's bad. I did everything I could. It becomes that at some point.
Or then blame the other spouse possibly too as like another route.
Yeah, well, I think it's really hard because if you guys aren't together, you're probably not responding to the crisis the same. Even if you are together, you're probably not.
Oh, yeah.
You never know how you're going to respond to that. Like, marriages end over like, what do we do with our kid who has addiction? Do we kick them out or do we ride the ride? You know what I mean? Like,
Most people's
marriages
marriages
end
don't make
over
it
that.
through,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, marriages end over that.
I think that's actually, it doesn't even have to be extreme. I think that's one of the things that you don't think of going into a marriage, where it's like how we react to any stress
Yeah.
or like, or crisis,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's, yeah.
And I think it's the ability while you're in the marriage to not take it personal that saves the marriage. I think
Yeah.
it's who has coping skills. So like if you pull out of the marriage, basically, like if you're not a present partner, but you're still stable, your marriage can probably make it through. If you're like in an unstable marriage, but your partner's also unstable in life, you're probably not making it through because other things are going wrong now. Like if the worst thing that happens because your kid is an addict and is like maybe going to kill themselves with fentanyl is that like you and your partner aren't having sex or you're not talking very much or you're not feeling connected or you're annoyed with each other. That's best case scenario. What often happens is one parent falls off the deep end and then now
Or leaves.
we can't be together.
Yeah.
like before they even leave, like they lose their job. They start an affair. They're flipping out at your other kids. They're,
Start
not
drinking.
coming home at night. They're like all the things. Like they're being an unstable adult, right? So like I think it's also, and then it's having the expectations of reality. And I don't think a lot of people have this, which is like, if you are married, there are going to be months or maybe even a year or two at a time where you're like not super in love. And I don't think a lot of marriages can survive that.
Yeah.
Or
I think they're like, why am I with you if I'm not enjoying this?
yeah, or just even that it's like you guys are going to face like crisis together, like some genuinely like awful shit,
Yeah.
and stuff that isn't your fault, isn't
Yeah.
anyone's fault, but you're going to be party to it now because you're married to this person, right? And it's
Most people think that they can just navigate not going through horrible shit, and that's how their relationship
or
works.
like I'll
I
just
don't
take
think-
care of my shit,
Mhm.
and that'll be fine. Like if I take care of my shit, it's good.
Yeah.
Like I haven't done anything wrong,
Yeah. There's also, most people don't have enough maturity to be like, life happens. Most
Yeah.
people aren't that mature.
right?
Most people are like, life happens, but it would have been better if you responded differently. And they
Yeah.
hold on to that and hold it against their partner instead of being like, this is a result of something bad happening. Most people don't have that maturity. If you have that maturity, much more likely to make it through the marriage. If both of you feel like, wow, life is beating us up versus this is only bad because my partner sucks. Yeah, your mom died, but like the real issue is that you don't know how to handle your mom dying.
It's a dynamic all the time.
That's how
in
people
couples
feel.
therapy with
Like,
folks.
yeah.
One
You
person
know?
is always feeling like
As-
they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I had to tell my own mother at a certain point, it's like, look, when you guys have I know it's fun to blame your children for your divorce, but it's like when there was crisis, you had an opportunity at that point. You can pull together or fucking, or completely pull apart and blame the other person. And it's like, it's just what people do, like when they're in stress.
Yeah. And it's like,
People
how do
do it
you
all the time.
manage stress?
Right.
I mean, I think that's a really big thing. And then I think, there's not the same social pressure to stay married, which is a
Right.
good thing, I think.
It is a good thing.
Overall, it is a good thing.
I think it is a good thing. I think some people jump ship a little prematurely, but I think that's honestly where I think most people really try.
Most people probably stick it out too long.
Marriage literally fits
I think in
the definition of negligence.
Yeah.
Like basically there's a 75% chance
Marriages, not relationships.
marriages,
Yeah.
like getting married is. So you have a 75% chance that one of those two people or both are going to be very like injured by this marriage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on that beautiful,
That was beautiful.
happy, joyous note, spring day, we're going to hop off and go to Patreon to talk about adolescence.
Which everybody should be watching so you can come and listen to the conversation.
What is your Patreon if someone were to want to get that?
Therapy Rebranded. Come follow.